Batman Damned, in case you don't remember, is the long-suffering, long-delayed Black Label book that sees the Dark Knight battle his own inner demons. What'll happen next in this finale issue? Well, let's hop on it together and find out. Alrighty then, so as we join the comic, Batman has been buried alive, a la Beatrix Kiddo. Does he know the 5-finger palmed exploding heart technique that will allow him to escape? Not exactly sure. But wait, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, in the end of the last issue, wasn't Batman on the bat signal with Harley Quinn? Didn't she try and force herself on him only for Batman to seemingly kill her? I mean, I can't blame you if you forgot issue 2 literally came out last year and this comic does very little to actually address it. Lucky for Batman, he doesn't have to escape on his own. He's rescued by the intervention of Swamp Thing, who looks really great in this series as drawn by Lee Bermejo. Swamp Thing speaks cryptically, as does everyone in this series, about Batman's fate, his tie to the dark arts, etc, etc. He also gets a cute little moment with Constantine where they reference that this isn't their first meeting and that they have a long and storied history, and just like that I get sad because I remember Vertigo isn't around anymore. The three men end up coming under attack by weeping angels sent by the Enchantress, who is sort of the main antagonist of this book. I guess she's been pulling Batman's strings since he was a child. She seems to be particularly upset because Batman has seemingly reneged on some sort of deal that he made with her long ago, a fact that really worries Swamp Thing into the point of basically leaving Batman to handle it on his own. We also get treated to a little flashback to the night that the Waynes died, and it seems that they only went down Crime Alley in the first place because Bruce Wayne went running after the Enchantress that he saw. It's right around here Batman, greatest detective in the world, pretty much throws up his hands and says that there's no way he could possibly solve a caper filled with this much magical misdirection. Luckily, Constantine is gonna help him by bringing him to the magical bar with no door. Oh, no, wait, sorry, that's Marvel, but still the concept is basically the same, a meeting place for all the most powerful magic users in the DC universe. Which is weird to me because here in the bar they all wear their traditional costumes that we all know them by, even though in the first issue we saw that the DC magical community in this Batman Damned universe all kind of lived like grungy street performers, which I liked, and now here it's kind of done away with. Also, hey, despite DC and Black Label claiming that Batman's flapping dong was way too objectionable to continue in this comic, that still doesn't mean we don't get a loving panel of Zatana's hungry bum in her fishnets. And let that be a lesson to all you comic professionals out there. The female form was created to be ogled, but don't you dare whip it out. Zatanna and the other magical heroes figure what Batman really needs to cure what ails him is a seance, because I mean, really, what else are you gonna do when you're in a magical bar than to have a seance? Either that or whip out the Ouija board. This magical seance allows Batman to take an inward journey into his own mind and into his own memories to the very night that his parents were murdered in Crime Alley. We see that it was around that time young Bruce cut some kind of deal with the Enchantress to conquer his fear and allow him to be Batman. It's all very vague, a phrase that I'm going to be saying a lot. Also, even though this is Batman's mind and his memories, John Constantine comes along too and shoots the Enchantress with a gun, seemingly killing her, or at least killing the memory version of her who was never actually there. And also, if Constantine is here with Batman right now, does that mean that he always existed in his mind as a figment of his imagination? No, that can't possibly be true. He interacted with other people. Again, it's all very vague and open to interpretation. Now, once this big truth bombshell was dropped about the Enchantress, it finally hits Batman. Oh yeah, hasn't this whole series been about me trying to solve whether or not I murdered the Joker? I totally forgot. And you know what, truth be told, as the reader, I also totally forgot that was the inciting incident for all of this. Batman decides to go to the morgue to search for the Joker's corpse, which really is where he should have gone from the beginning, don't you think? It's there while at the morgue, Batman meets that same mysterious green-hooded hobo from the previous issue that we all assumed was the Spectre. Turns out, yeah, he was totally the Spectre. And that all of everything we've seen in the book right now may or may not have been some sort of Dante's Inferno-style trek through hell for Batman. Or something like that. Again, and say it with me this time, it's all very vague and open to interpretation. What we do know for sure, though, is that when Batman actually pulls the sheet off the corpse that we believe to belong to the Joker, we don't actually get to see what's under the sheet. Instead, Batman seemingly gets sucked into the corpse closet, which I guess is them trying to say that maybe Batman was dead all along. The only thing I think I do know for sure is that the Joker most certainly did not die. He was brutally injured in his battle with Batman on the bridge, and for a split second, Batman thought about not saving his life. Joker indeed fell in the water, but he was totally fine when he came out. In fact, he was so fine as the comic winds down, he recreates that famous panel from Killing Joke. And in the end, I suppose I didn't know if Batman was dreaming the Joker or the Joker was dreaming me. And so that was Batman Damned issue number 3, everybody, and that was something. I personally like to think even if this one had come out on time and hadn't had to be redrawn, it still would have been a bit of a mess. I'm a big enough man to come out and straight say I don't get it, and if I don't get it, chances are a lot of other people didn't get it too. And that's even before we start talking about stuff like why were the Waynes re-envisioned as this kind of abusive sleazebag family when it actually had no bearing on the story at all? Why did they go through all the trouble of reimagining the magical characters of the DC universe when in the end they just ended up acting like they always do? And lastly, and this is a big one, why was Batman so passive in a story that was supposed to be about him? In the end, it's all about Constantine. Constantine figures everything out and carries Batman around by the nose. On the upside though, Lee Bermejo's art looks absolutely stunning, and if I were to view this simply as an art book and not a comic book, I would say this is one hell of an awesome art book. Maybe if I reread it all from issue 1, I would see some sort of theme or through line that I didn't recognize before, but truth be told, I didn't exactly have a lot of fun with this book, so I don't want to reread it. It's really sad to think in a couple years from now, this book's greatest legacy will be the Dong controversy and how Black Label pretty much tripped at the starting line. Ultimately, I would give this one a 5.5 out of 10, and again, that's mostly just for looking nice.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not take a look at some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel so you're always up to date on what I'm doing next. And hey, if you're in the market for some cheap comic books, might I recommend Book Depository? They're my favorite place to get cheap comic book trades, and if you use my link down in the description, not only will you save a bundle by not having to pay a cent for shipping, but everything you do buy goes to support me in the channel. So you win, I win, everybody wins, right? And until next time everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'm going to continue making comic book videos that smack of greatness. Bye-bye.